But let's turn to the story that's breaking at this moment. Just a short while ago, an all-party meeting has concluded in New Delhi. Opposition has made it very clear they will back any step the Narendra Modi government takes to punish terror emanating out of Pakistan. Sources saying at the meeting, the Modi government has admitted to security lapses. All parties have unanimously condemned the terror attack. India united against terror. This on a day when Prime Minister Modi vowed to avenge Pahalgam. The Modi government and the opposition on the same page. The opposition says it will back the government in this fight against terror. Listen in to some of the remarks made by opposition and government leaders after that meeting.
यूनिफॉर्मली कंडेम किया है सबने जो हुआ है और पूरी सपोर्ट दिया ऑपोजिशन ने सरकार को कोई भी एक्शन आज प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा है
सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने अपने अपने विचार को रखा और एक चीज सामने में आया कि देश को एकजुट और एक आवाज में खड़ा रह करके बोलना चाहिए और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ में एकजुट होकर के भारत को लड़ाई लड़ना चाहिए, ये सबने माना है। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का आज जो बिहार में देश को मैसेज दिया उसको सबने सुना है, तो उस प्रधानमंत्री जी का जो मंशा है आतंकवाद के खिलाफ कड़ी प्रहार जो भारत पहले भी करते आया है और भी आगे करेंगे।
What really happened behind the closed doors at the meeting? Piyush Mishra, who was there at the meeting, joins us. Also, Preeti Chaudhary, my colleague, joins me here from the newsroom. Preeti, to you first. What are you picking up? The opposition saying publicly that they are fully with the government, but we are told that they've also raised some of their concerns, including the fact that the Prime Minister was not present at that meeting.
Well, that was bound to happen, Rajdeep. But yes, if the biggest takeaway that we can take from the opposition meet, number one, that the opposition is together. They're supporting the government in whichever way the government chooses to respond. So yes, there is solidarity and unity in that. But the fine print of the meeting, I'll take you through some of the points. Firstly, all parties, opposition parties, got together and objected. Why isn't the Prime Minister present at the all-party meet? And that is when the Home Minister, apparently, as per our sources, stepped in and said that the Prime Minister will be meeting with the opposition soon. There was also a briefing by the IB, Rajdeep, of the opposition. So the IB did brief the opposition on what really went wrong and what happened. When it came down to security lapses, of what my sources tell me, Rahul Gandhi raised the question on why there was absolutely no security at the spot when this incident occurred, and has accountability been fixed, quote unquote, is what Rahul Gandhi said. You know, on a point where the entire opposition got together and raised strong objection was when the government told the opposition that this particular area, this particular spot where the terror attack had occurred is not open to the public. The central forces were not present because they were not told. As per the government, the local tour operators and the local security people opened this area to the public. And at the time of the attack, and this happened from the 20th of April. Before 20th of April, the area was not open to the public. Post that, day one, there were about 500 people, and sadly on the day of the attack, because so many local tour operators started taking the tourists there, there were about 3,000 people present at the time when the attack occurred. And this caused a fair bit of furor where the opposition leaders were concerned, and they asked, how could that even happen, that the central agencies were not even informed. The other thing that was raised very strongly by the opposition was in the aftermath of it. What about the communal harmony which has been disrupted across the country? Issues were being raised. Supriya Sule was one of the MPs who did raise it on certain social media handles, some of them belonging to the BJP. An example was given of BJP Chhattisgarh handle on how certain inflammatory tweets, communal tweets, were being circulated. The government, of course, turned around and did assure and assuage fears of the opposition that all of that will be deleted and reprimanded. So, net, Rajdeep, ultimately, the opposition did get together and say, whatever action that you take, we are with you, we are united, and the strongest action needs to be taken. Right. But yes, the fine print of the meeting I just detailed for you.
Let's go to Piyush Mishra. Piyush, Is the sense, therefore, that now we will have complete solidarity, or are we expecting more meetings between the opposition and the government, including some which could be involving the Prime Minister himself, or will Rajnath Singh and Amit Shah be the ones now fronting the government's interventions with the opposition?
Well, that's unlikely, Rajdeep, because the government has now taken opposition into confidence. Remember that Mallikarjun Kharge, the leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, was asking for the government to at least brief opposition about the steps which the government is going to take or what the government is taking. So looking at that now, the confidence building measure has been taken, where the government has briefed opposition about the steps. Those have so far been taken, and the government has also hinted what steps could also be taken. But like Preeti was rightly mentioning about the biggest point which has come out of this meeting is on the security lapse. The government has accepted that yes, there was security lapse, and that has happened because of the local tour operators. They did not inform the government and the concerning agency about opening that particular spot, and that is why there was not enough deployment of that. One thing is clear, that the government has made its intention very clear that it is going to give a befitting reply to Pakistan, and we can also draw this from the kind of statement which has been issued by PM Narendra Modi. So this meeting is going to certainly, after this meeting, no more meetings would certainly take place. But yes, the government has briefed opposition, and the demand which was there that Prime Minister should also brief, that has not so far been addressed.
Okay, Piyush Mishra, Preeti Chaudhary joining me with details from that meeting that took place a short while ago. Thank you very much. Now, the focus was on what will the government do. Prime Minister Modi today delivered a strong message to the perpetrators and sponsors of terrorism, vowing that India will identify, trace and punish those behind the recent deadly attack in Pahalgam. His remarks came during an address to a large gathering in Madhubani in Bihar. It comes just 2 days after 26 people were killed in that brutal terror strike at Baisaran Valley in Pahalgam. Pakistan too is talking tough and has decided to deny Indian aircraft any airspace in their country. Take a look as to how the two countries are now engaged in a war of words.
India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi turned to English while speaking at a rally in Bihar on Thursday to deliver a message to the world. The Prime Minister did not name Pakistan, but it was clear who he was pointing to in his first public speech after the terror attack in Pahalgam that left 26 tourists dead. Modi vowed to crush the terrorists and the masterminds behind the biggest attack in Kashmir since 2019 Pulwama strike on security forces.
जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी। अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है।
The Narendra Modi government later briefed the opposition about the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir at an all-party meeting.
यूनिफॉर्मली कंडेम किया है सबने जो हुआ है, और पूरी सपोर्ट दिया ऑपोजिशन ने सरकार को, कोई भी एक्शन।
Earlier, the Congress Working Committee met and passed a resolution calling for calm and reaffirming the party's resolve to combat cross-border terror with unity. The Congress, however, questioned the security lapses in Pahalgam.
It is imperative that a comprehensive analysis is conducted into the intelligence failures and security lapses that enabled such an attack in a union territory. Enough security arrangement was not there at all.
Meanwhile, India scaled up its diplomatic war on Pakistan. A day after announcing a series of measures, including the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, New Delhi briefed envoys of G20 nations. Reacting to the measures taken by India, Islamabad said any attempt to stop or divert the Indus water will be considered as an act of war. In tit-for-tat measures, Pakistan closed down Wagah border post, suspended visas under SAARC visa exemption scheme, and expelled Indian defence advisors in Islamabad. Pakistan's airspace will be closed with immediate effect for all Indian-owned or Indian-operated airlines. All trade with India also stands suspended. While the diplomatic standoff between India and Pakistan escalates, Prime Minister's stern declaration that all backers of terror will be punished indicates that New Delhi may be exploring more options to avenge the terror attack in Pahalgam. With Rohit Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
And let's raise the big questions today. How far should India go in teaching Pakistan a lesson this time? What will it take to make Pakistan close the terror tap? What really are India's realistic options? Joining me now is an expert panel. Rajdeep Dogra is former Consul General to Pakistan, has written extensively on the issue. Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain is former GOC 15 Corps. Colonel Ajay Shukla is a strategic affairs analyst. He's looked at the area again for years. And SP Ved is former DGP Jammu and Kashmir. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let me start with you, General Hasnain, because at the moment, when the Prime Minister speaks that we will take punitive action against Pakistan, unimaginable action, can you tell us what you believe are India's realistic options? Is this the Prime Minister's declaration of war in a way, or do you believe that there are other ways in which we can teach Pakistan a lesson?
Thank you, Rajdeep. A good question, all right, but a little too early to yet say, because this is a developing narrative which is carrying on, and I think the decision of the Cabinet Committee for Security yesterday was in such a manner that it gives India a window of opportunity, an elongated window of opportunity, even while diplomatic actions are going on, even while other actions such as the Indus Water Treaty or the holding back of the Indus Water Treaty is also under execution. We will be able to seek out all the other options. Now, what these options are, I'm sure the military advisors, the army commanders and everyone already have their plans in place. They will be looking at it and discussing it and seeing the impact of all these plans. At this stage, for anyone from the army, including me as a former corps commander, it would be incorrect for us to say as to what those plans will be. But I believe that everything is on the table, which includes the ceasefire going up in flames, the targeting of various targets close by or deep inside Pakistan, and of course the covert option continuing to remain open all the time.
Okay, I'll come in a moment to more specific, but Rajiv Dogra, your first reactions. Do you believe, given the way Pakistan also has reacted, closed Indian airspace, both sides have decided to deny visas to each other's cities, India going as far as holding Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, which Pakistan says is an act of war. How do you see this playing out diplomatically? Is the first step diplomatic pressure to isolate Pakistan?
Well, my first reaction really is that unlike in the previous conflicts or previous crisis, what comes to mind is Balakot and Kargil. The international community got into the act to cool down the temperature. This time, I don't see that happening. In fact, international community is fed up with Pakistan, and the indications, words in the air that one is hearing is that both USA and Israel have given their support, at least verbal support, to India's desire to take it to some logical conclusion so that the acts of terror, which has become a regular hobby with Pakistan, stops. So that is the first thing. The second is that, there are various ways of getting your objective. What comes to my mind is 1971 again, where people like Kissinger and Nixon could not divine what Indira Gandhi had in mind. I have read the record of discussions when she went to Washington, and she fooled them, both of them. So one is to keep the deception going, and that is what Mr. Modi is also trying to do. He's keeping the country engaged, and there's a very subtle way in which he's doing it. He went to Madhubani to involve people, and then from Madhubani, where perhaps no one could understand English, he decided, as an exceptional move, to speak in English to the world. So there are some very subtle moves in offing, and let's hope that we are able to surprise Pakistan. That should be the principal objective.
Surprise Pakistan. Ajay Shukla, a lot of rhetoric, a lot of anger, understandable, but cut through the anger and tell us what you think are the realistic options.
The first thing I would say, Rajdeep, is that the lessons of Pulwama should have been already implemented and learnt, and the sort of lack of immediate readiness that was evident in that attack should not be evident during this one, if we have learnt any lessons from that last attack. We should not be hearing diplomatic statements. Right now, what had we sort of taken the correct steps, and I'm not saying we haven't, we possibly could have, but have they taken the correct steps? Or the only sound we'd be hearing right now is the clicking of ceilings of the gun bay doors of weapons and of aircraft that would have been launched or should be launched to take action against Pakistan. I think that the sort of harsh rhetoric that we are hearing, it would not be sort of so resonating had we had our weapons in place, had we had our tactics in place, had we had a clear idea about what we were going to do in the next terrorist attack takes place. Because inevitably with a neighbor like Pakistan, that terrorist attack is going to take place next.
So you're saying we didn't have a preemptive doctrine. We don't have. You're saying we didn't have a preemptive. Are you saying we don't have a preemptive strike doctrine in place as to how to go up the escalatory ladder?
This is not preemptive strike. This is a strike in retaliation to an action that has been taken by the enemy.
Right.
It's a sort of an avenging action rather than something that we are behaving in a totally reactive manner to. And I think you're absolutely right that action, the guns, the weapons, the tactics, all of them should have been in place, and we should have, in fact, in my opinion, already seen the first strikes go in.
Those are very strong words. You believe that we should have already had, in a way, readiness for retaliatory strikes, given the scale of this terror attack. SP Ved, on the ground, we're seeing in Kashmir itself, questions being raised, even at that all-party meeting, about lapses in security. Do you believe that that is also one of the concerns, that we need to have our unified command in place? The police, the army, the various security agencies on the ground need to be better prepared now.
Good evening, Rajdeep. Absolutely, what you are saying, coordination is most important, and the unified command system has worked very well over the years. We have all been part of it. As far as security lapse, yes. I want to, in fact, I would like to know, how did this place open without security clearance? Who ordered, who gave the permission for this tourist place to operate without ensuring proper security arrangements there? These are the questions which need to be asked during the investigation. Who was in charge of this area? Mm-hmm. How did private operators operate without proper authorization? If somebody has authorized, who's that officer? And how did he authorize these tour operators to take tourists there in hundreds without security clearance? Now, all these aspects need to be looked into. And I think it is a big security lapse, and I'm sure these things will emerge in the days to come during the course of investigation and inquiry. And the surprising part is it is a very well planned attack and properly racket with the instructions coming from handlers across, and somebody local has given help. How did terrorists know that this place has started functioning? I'm told only a few days back it started. How this information reached to the terrorists without the local help? How would Pakistani terrorists know this? And after all, they must have been helped to come to this place, recce it. They must have been provided food and other support structure. All these aspects need to be looked into, Rajdeep.
Right. So those are questions that will come towards fixing of accountability, and presumably, hopefully, there will be accountability fixed, unlike some believe was the case with Pulwama, where the inquiry was seen by many to be non-transparent. But let's come to the central question, which is now what next? Atta Hasnain, you said as a army man, you believe that this is not a moment to discuss specific options. But in general, do you believe, Ajay Shukla just mentioning, should we have been readier with a retaliatory strike? Should there be a system in place that if there is a terror attack, certain red lines have drawn? We had a surgical strike after Uri, we had Balakot after Pulwama. Should we have drawn the red lines far more clearly?
See, Rajdeep, I will agree with Ajay to some extent, but I would also say that response is not just in one direction. There's a whole spectrum of responses. You can wait, you can create a window, you can elongate the waiting period, you can keep him on tenterhooks. He has already mobilized a portion of his reserves. Those reserves are probably already inside portions of the Jhelum Valley. Some of them have probably also reached the areas in Punjab. He's got an economy which is, for the 24th time, he's going to the IMF. That economy is going to get severely affected by mobilization for a long period. So it's not necessary that you only go kinetic immediately. You threaten to go kinetic, keep him on tenterhooks, and you are seeing what he's doing in Karachi. He's already given out a warning that he would like to test his various missiles in the firing ranges across inside the Arabian Sea. That should give you a clear inference that he is expecting that there will be a surface-to-surface missile strike by India somewhere inside Pakistan, and he is sending out a message to you that I will respond. Right? So you are realizing that this is what is going to happen. In this case, I would definitely like to offer one bit of advice. We have clear targets on the other side in the form of terrorist hideouts, terrorist camps, and terrorist training areas. Bahawalpur, Muridke, all these places are there on our sights, in our crosshairs. If we happen to ever strike these, will Pakistan strike back? And if he strikes back, what will he strike back at? At any of our cantonments? That will be an act of war. And you can be assured that India will never tolerate that. And that will be the trigger for the commencement of the 4th or the 5th round of the Indo-Pak wars.
You know, Ajay, you just heard General Hasnain talk about targeted attacks possibly at terror camps based in Pakistan. Do you believe that that is, in a sense, the option which is on the table? Or do you believe it could go well beyond that in terms of options?
Well, I, Rajdeep, am feeling a little alarmed at what I'm hearing from some of my other co-panelists, which is that we must now start thinking about what we are going to attack. All of that thinking should have been finished and done with after Pulwama. The target lists should have been brought, allocated to various squadrons, and await only a password for the actual launch. We cannot at this stage start ruminating and wondering, what are we going to do? We must already have that in place. We must be now doing it. So I don't believe that in the next 2 days or next 1 day, they're going to sort of produce these target lists and start the launch of vengeance strikes, because there are just no signs of some of this thinking already been done. Some of this thinking, in order to close the time that you have for the launch of these things, we should have had a lot of the thinking done already.
Interesting. Rajiv Dogra, amidst all this, of course, is the fear that you're dealing with a nuclear neighbor. The truth of the matter is Pakistan is a country which is nuclearized. Given that, does that constrain our options in your view? Because in the past, we've been very cautious. After 26/11, we were cautious. Even after the attack on Parliament in 2002, we preferred diplomatic coercion after 2001. Do you believe that diplomatic coercion isolating Pakistan is the option, or disregarding the fact that they're a nuclear neighbor and striking within Pakistan?
Well, I'm sure people who are doing this business would have factored that in. But in response to your question, let me give you some facts. Number one, according to some assessments, American assessments, there have been 9 occasions in the past when India, Pakistan were near the nuclear brink. One of the most public ones was when Clinton told Nawaz Sharif, do you know what will happen if you go to nuclear war? Your army is preparing for it. So now the situation has become even more complicated, because it's not just nuclear bomb, but it is also those little shells, which Pakistanis are very fond of saying, that little tennis balls and so on, the tactical nukes, which can be launched from small tanks or whatever, and they are in the hands of medium-level Pakistani military officers. So the nuclear threat is real, nuclear threat is widespread, and nuclear threat is in irresponsible Pakistani hands, especially with the kind of general that Pakistan has as its army chief. Having said that, I think our bigger concern as co-panelists and as thinkers should be, what will be Pakistan's next move? Will it launch some more terror attacks? Will it launch some ceasefire violations? I mean, what is it that it has in mind? Does it have more sleeper cells who are going to assist the terrorists who are already in the country? So both our actions there. In terms of our action also, I want to recall that in Operation Pahalgam, after Prime Minister Vajpayee, I think it was Prime Minister Vajpayee, had given the clearance to army. Army came back after 1 month. That is the time it took to prepare, and said that now we are ready.
No, yeah, what you are saying, therefore, but even in Operation Pahalgam, eventually we stopped short of actually crossing the border. The reason I'm asking this, and General Hasnain, as a military man, you can say this, there's a lot of rhetoric out there. Let's cross the border, we will take on POK, we must take revenge. Does some of them end up in being reckless? That we need to be more cautious, we need to be clever rather than be reckless, not be foolhardy, but be wise and be cautious.
Rajdeep, your words are the truth. I'm sorry, I disagree with my friend Ajay Shukla completely. You have your plans in place. It doesn't mean that every plan has to be executed on the moment go. If you have your hand on the trigger, it doesn't mean that you press the trigger every time. So as you said, Rajdeep, yourself, there will be a tremendous amount of rhetoric. It's all going around there. You're seeing it on the social media. There is anger in the streets. It always happens that way. Does the government listen to the street? Does the government listen to the social media? The government listens to its intelligence agencies, it listens to the advice of its armed forces, and then takes the best decisions. And I have confidence in my government. I have confidence in my Prime Minister.
I want to give Mr. Shukla a final word to respond to what you heard from General Hasnain.
I can only say that it is as if we are approaching a situation which we have never had to tackle before, and never had to sort of execute various operations associated with it. We cannot now, at this point of a sort of national crisis, we cannot now start thinking about what the options are. Is there a general in the Indian Army or an air marshal, for that matter, in the Air Force who will agree with somebody who now says we must now think carefully about what we're going to go ahead and do? But that's what we are hearing from General Hasnain. What have we done so far? Why are we not in a more ready position to take action? These are questions which anybody who you bring to this problem will be asking in 15 seconds. I don't know, by the looks of it, it appears to me that nothing is ready. The plans are not in place, and as a consequence of that, nothing has been launched, no punishment has been executed. I hope I'm wrong, I really hope I'm wrong, but this is what impression comes out at this moment.
I want to give Mr. Ware the word, though, on you were the one who raised the issue of the weaknesses on the ground, the security lapses. In your experience, will accountability be fixed? Whether it's the Jammu and Kashmir police, whether it's CRPF, whether it is anyone within the security grid in Kashmir, will accountability be fixed? And should that happen much later? For now, the focus should be on ensuring effective retaliation on Pakistan.
Rajiv, accountabilities have been fixed earlier also, and I'm sure this time also accountability will be fixed. Ads must roll because it's a huge incident, and you can't let it go this way. Accountability must be fixed. I have no doubt about it. But I think that can wait. Let's first prioritize, go after these terrorists, punish them, eliminate them. And groups like this are also operating in hills of Jammu region and other parts of Kashmir Valley. We need to cleanse all these and particularly go after those sports structure who are actually helping them to bring these terrorists to these places for execution. And the larger part in which we are all discussing, I think that should be number one priority. Accountability, of course, can be fixed.
Let me leave it there. Accountability will be fixed, you're promising. As of now, the focus has to be in what are our realistic options on the ground. Do we go, as Ajay Shukla seems to suggest, for retaliatory strikes? We should have been ready with them, or should we very carefully take Pakistan by surprise? Clearly, of course, a TV studio is not the best space at times to decide what the exact options are. But I appreciate my guests giving us a sign of the big picture that may well lie ahead. Thank you all very much. I want to turn from there to the area which is at the center, in a way, of what's happened. Kashmir, a region long tangled in a bloody conflict, often seen through the lens of insurgency, unrest, now terror, standing at a pivotal turning point. This latest attack, brutal and heart-wrenching as it is, has shaken the very soul of the Kashmir Valley. Something seems to be different this time from the voices on the ground. The targeting of innocent tourists has not only stirred grief, within hours, sorrow has given way to collective outrage. For the first time in over 2 decades, the valley shut down, not in protest against the state, but in unified mourning and defiance of terrorism. We've even seen anti-Pakistan slogans on the ground. Could this moment be a key moment for a shift in Kashmir? Also, we are seeing, as the nation grapples with the aftermath of the horrific terror attack, Kashmiri students facing increasing hostility in other parts of India. One such incident occurring at a college near Chandigarh, where Kashmiri students were allegedly attacked in their hostel late at night. And now the government has made it very clear they will take they will ensure security, and the Punjab police itself has been put under a huge question mark. Remember, there are various student associations of Kashmiris across the country that are calling for swift action to be taken and ensure that Kashmiri students are safeguarded. Let's then turn to someone who knows a thing or two about Kashmir, Mehbooba Mufti. And joining me now is Mehbooba Mufti, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir and leader of the People's Democratic Party. Appreciate your joining us, Mehbooba Mufti. You have described the Pahalgam attack as an assault on Kashmiriyat and apologized to the nation for the incident. Do you believe that what happened in Pahalgam will now unite every Kashmiri to speak out against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism?
It has already united everybody because, after all, the tourists who come here, they are our guests. They, come with their family, with their kids to have a nice time. And the way they were killed, it has really, touched the hearts of people here. Jammu people gave a call for Band. It was followed by Kashmiris for the first time in the history of Jammu and Kashmir during these last 30 years. There was a call from Jammu and Kashmir followed it. So things have changed. And I think
what has changed? What has changed? Mehbooba ji,
whole country.
Mehbooba ji, badla kya hai? Badla kya hai? Because let's be honest, terror has existed and has killed hundreds of people for so many years.
नहीं, बदला ये है कि जो लोगों ने देखा, देखिए ना, आपको तो ये जानना पड़ेगा, समझना पड़ेगा कि इस तरह टूरिस्ट के ऊपर अटैक पहली बार हुआ है। निहत्ते टूरिस्ट जो आए थे वहां से घूमने फिरने के लिए, बच्चे लेके आते हैं, इतने मुश्किल हालात में अपना पैसा बचाते हैं कि कश्मीर जाएंगे, और उसके बाद उनके साथ ये ऐसा हादसा हुआ और बेबस थे, वहां कोई बचाने वाला भी नहीं था। तो आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं दिल को बहुत लगी कश्मीरियों को कि ये लोग हमारे लिए आते हैं, अपने घूमने फिरने के लिए आते हैं, कश्मीर को जन्नत कहते हैं, ये क्या हो गया? क्योंकि पहले जो कश्मीरी पंडित यहाँ से निकल पड़े तो उसका अभी तक लोगों को मलाल है, ये क्या हो गया? तो आज मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं कश्मीरियों को फिर लगा कि फिर से एक ऐसा हादसा हुआ जो शायद हमारे ऊपर कलंक लग गया कश्मीरियत के ऊपर।
Will they, I come back to it, will there be outright condemnation of Pakistan in particular? Because Pakistan has been the rogue nation that has allowed this violence to fester in the Kashmir Valley for 3.5 decades. So will Kashmiris outrightly condemn Pakistan?
I can't speak for Kashmiris whether they are going to do that, but one thing I would definitely like to not, I am no one to advise anybody, but I would like to make certain, a request to New Delhi that since Kashmiris have, come in, against this attack, terror attack, and they have come in support of the country, they are mourning like the country is mourning today. So the way, Kashmiris have been given collective punishments, especially since 2019, I think that has to stop now. They have to reach out to, because there were 6 militants. But just look how Adil Shah tried to save the life of the tourists by snatching the gun. How Sajjad carried the, injured person right from Baisaran to the hospital, so many kilometers. How a taxi driver was the first one to take the injured to the hospital. So you have to look at these Kashmiris, not the ones, who had guns in their hands and, killed these people. So I think Delhi will also have to have a change in their policy as Kashmiris have changed. So they have to use this opportunity to reach out to people of Kashmiri and not give collective punishment to Kashmiris.
You're making an important point. You're saying don't give collective punishment to Kashmiris, but you're also telling me that Kashmiris have changed, that Kashmir has changed, that Kashmir has realized that this violence eventually is going to destroy Kashmir itself. Am I right?
Definitely Kashmiris never wanted violence, but I don't want to go into history why it happened, why were the 87 elections rigged, why Yasin Malik, a chief agent, had to go to Pakistan to get the gun, why, Yusuf Shah, Salahuddin was a candidate and he was, deprived of his, win, and someone else was declared, that he had won, Mahideen Shah Sahab, late Mahideen Shah Sahab. So I don't want to go into that, why Kashmiris went to Pakistan, why Pakistan took advantage of us. But the thing is that Kashmiris definitely are not for violence. They were never for violence. But situations were such that not many of them could speak openly. But today we took an initiative. I was the one who gave a call to the Kashmiris that let's, have a shutdown. And it was not because of my call. It was because Kashmiris were in a lot of pain. They were also as angry as anybody in the rest of the country. So they followed that, and the whole place was shut down on yesterday. And I mean, if you go to Pahalgam, you can't imagine how painful it is to see people there, mourning. Everybody is mourning now.
You see, because one of the fears has been that this has also stoked a Muslim-Hindu divide, because people were singled out for their religion and targeted. Now, how do you bridge that divide? As you said earlier, Kashmiri Pandits were forced out of the valley, and we don't know whether they will ever be able to come back. So there is a long road ahead to bridge this divide.
Well, that's what I say, that this is it's a very unfortunate incident that took place, very tragic. I don't have any words to condemn it. But at the same time, now New Delhi will also have to look at Kashmiris from a different perspective. Yes, the security issues are there, but while taking security measures, they will have to, separate security from the common people. So I think, it has to be from both sides. And as far as Hindu-Muslim divide is concerned, I'm very sorry what the national media, the so-called Godi media, they have been, just spreading venom all over. They're not talking about Adil Shah, who died saving tourists. They are not talking about Sajjad, who took the injured to the hospital and walked miles and miles. They are not talking about the taxiwala, because the army and the security forces and government came later to help. It was the locals who helped, who gave their blood. They were Muslims, all Kashmiris, but they are not talking about them. They are only talking about the terrorists. We are not a terrorist. Terrorists have no religion. We have seen what's happening in many parts of the country, what all things they speak about, how Muslims have been lynched, but that doesn't mean every Hindu is a, lynch man.
My only
and
point...
I think it's very bad on the national media.
Mehbooba Mufti, I don't hold a candle for the rest of the media, but I'm very clear in my mind. At the end of the day, what happened in Pahalgam was unacceptable. The manner in which people did use religion in this instance to target Hindu tourists. But I will ask you this, ma'am. Do you believe that now...
Who people?
The terrorists. The terrorists. The terrorists.
Who people?
No, tell me,
answer my question. Who people? Who people? Terrorists, but you can't, say that Kashmiris are the terrorists.
I didn't say that.
Like you have people
I use the word terrorists.
Who lynch Muslims.
Yes, I use the word terrorists. I use the word terrorists who have used religion.
They are terrorists.
I take your point.
Yeah, but that's what they want. They want to put the whole country on fire in the same manner as the Godi media is doing. They want this Hindu-Muslim divide to grow bigger and bigger, so that there is unrest in the whole country. That's what the terrorists want, and that's what the Godi media is doing.
But you are telling me today on the show, you are telling me on the show, you will stand shoulder to shoulder with the Indian government, with whatever action they take against Pakistan, and that Kashmiris will stand shoulder to shoulder with every Indian in grief and anger.
Of course, we are with the Indian people at this point of time when they are mourning. As far as India-Pakistan relations are concerned, Rajdeep, we Kashmiris have been the worst kind of victims of this animosity between the two countries. We have seen ups, we have seen downs, we have seen more downs during the relationship, and unfortunately, when there is a down between the two countries, we suffer the most. When there is a up between the two countries, we don't get benefited much out of that. So, either way, we are the sufferers. We are the ones, as somebody said, when, two elephants, whether they fight or they, love each other, it is the grass that gets trampled upon. So we are the grass, Kashmiris are the grass that get trampled upon.
Yes, but as we've seen in the process, the valley has got bloodied. Let us hope and pray, Mehbooba Mufti, that this is a wake-up call, and therefore this wake-up call results in actually healing and bridging some of the divides that have, in a sense, as I said, spread havoc over the last 3.5 decades. I appreciate you joining me, Mehbooba Mufti. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajdeep. Ameen. Whatever prayers you made, Ameen for that.
Thank you. And in that interview, Mehbooba Mufti spoke about some of the Samaritans, the good Samaritans of Pahalgam. Now remember, all the visuals have been of the victims, those who tragically died in their terror attack. But there are those, tourist guides, mule owners and others in Pahalgam, many of whom went out of their way to rescue tourists suffering shock injuries. One of them, in fact, died shielding tourists, while others literally trekked for kilometers to bring the bleeding injured to a hospital in Pahalgam and Anantnag. These are the unsung heroes, in a way, the Samaritans of Pahalgam. Their story also needs to be told. Mir Farid now reports.
सब ठीक हैं, सब बढ़िया. आप खैरियत से पहुंचे हो तो फिर फोन करना मुझे.
Nazakat Ahmad Shah survived the Pahalgam terror attack and saved all 11 tourists from Chhattisgarh whom he accompanied.
सब हलचल मच गई और सब लोग नीचे जमीन पे लेट गए और उसी दौरान लकी का बेटा लेके मैं भी नीचे लेट गया और टीटू की बेटी लेके 2 बच्चों को लेके मैं भी नीचे लेट गया. शुक्र है अल्लाह का, सही सलामत जो हमारे गेस्ट थे 11 के 11 सही सलामत मैंने पहलगाम तक पहुंचाए. अब श्रीनगर आज सुबह में उनको छोड़ के वापस आया एयरपोर्ट से.
Nazakat missed the funeral of his cousin Adil Hussain Shah, shot dead by the terrorists while saving tourists.
भाई हमारा चले गया आदिल हुसैन शाह, वो हमारा ब्रदर था, कजिन ब्रदर. वो घोड़ा चलाता था, मैं भी गाइड था. बाकी हमारे भाई लोग सारे आधे होटल लोग लेके जाते हैं, आधे मैगी बेचते हैं. ये हमारी बदकिस्मती थी.
At Adil's house, grief sits heavy with pride. 30-year-old Adil Hussain sacrificed his life to save tourists.
जब मैं सुनता हूँ कि उसने इतने सहायों की जान बचाई तो इससे मुझे फख्र भी होता है और दूसरी तरफ से उसकी जान जाने का दुख भी इज़हार होता है.
Adil and Nazakat are not the only ones. Sajjad took an injured tourist bleeding from his gunshot wound on his back and trekked all the way to hospital.
आपने कंधे पे जिस टूरिस्ट को आप लेके आए थे, कहां से कहां तक आप लेके गए और उसको जख्मी किस तरीके का था?
सर उसके चेहरे पे यहाँ पे साइड में खून लगा था और कपड़े में खून लगा था. और दूसरे घोड़े वाले के कंधे पे उसकी माँ है और मैंने बच्चों को उठा के जैसे तैसे करके उठा के वहाँ से सीधा.
तो कितने किलोमीटर कंधे पे आप नीचे?
मुझे वहाँ से लगते है वो 4 किलोमीटर है बैसरन से पहलगाम. सर
They were the first responders. Locals, some tourist guides, some mule owners. All together ensured that lives were saved.
आपका तो वीडियो सामने आया, कई सारे हैं जिन्होंने.
बहुत सारे घोड़े वाले थे जो वहाँ पे मतलब टूरिस्ट को उठा के और जो प्रेसिडेंट साहब है रईस है वही साहब जो उनको घोड़े पे बिठा के घोड़े वालों को बोल रहा है कि इनको आप पहलगाम पहुँचा दो.
जब मैंने लाशें पड़ी हुई देखी और जख्मी देखे हैं तो मुझे पूरा घबराहट आई है. तो हमने पहली कोशिश की, पहले मैंने घोड़े पे जख्मी को भेजा है और जो वो कंधे पे था सजाद भाई के कंधे पे, वो घोड़े पे नहीं बैठ सका. मैंने उसको बोला उसको कंधे पे लेके जाओ. मैंने पहली कोशिश की जख्मियों को रेफर करने की हॉस्पिटल.
People are sad. There is somber Pahalgam. It is deserted, and right now they're like they can't even think of opening their shops because they're still in absolute sadness, and they want that the people who are behind this attack should be punished fittingly so that a precedent is set. With camp person Muzaffar Ahmed, Mir Farid, Baisaran for India Today.
Grief and rage, my take. No people have suffered as much from Pak-sponsored terror as much as the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Thousands of Kashmiris have died. A majority of them local Kashmiri Muslims. Kashmiri Pandits have been driven out of their homes in the 1990s, never to return. Now this attack on innocent tourists has exposed the malevolent Pakistani army state and its terror network, and its attempt to use terror to spread fear and only bloody the Kashmir Valley further. which is why this is an opportune moment for every Kashmiri to stand shoulder to shoulder in collective grief and anger. Kashmir is an integral part of India, a symbol of India's unique plural ethos, which Pakistan is attempting to undermine to stir a communal divide. Islamist terror sponsored by Pakistan must not win. Kashmir must take the lead. The nation must and will follow. The idea of India as this unique, multi-religious country must win in the end. I want to leave you tonight, though, with images. Images of the victims of Pahalgam. Each of them, sons, daughters, sons, fathers, husbands, all of them innocent Indians, hoping to celebrate a wonderful life. Instead, they were cruelly gunned down. Please say a prayer today for each and every one of them. Good night, goodbye, namaskar, Jai Hind.
We should all be proud of him in every way.
दीने एक बहुत ही इंटेलिजेंट लड़का था, बहुत ही खुशहाल था और बहुत ही हंसमुख था।